Welcome back to the Soulful Seeds podcast. I'm your host, Chef Brittany. This is where we trace our roots through the land, the kitchen, and the stories of Black farmers. Each episode, we explore the rich foodways of the African diaspora and uncover the history of our people, our land, our legacy, and who we've always been. In this episode, we explore part 2 of Belle's family farm in Rich Springs, South Carolina.
Honest to goodness, when I come, I always host a little dinner for everybody. They would just scoop me up and made me a part of this family. So I just refer to this as being home and making myself companion. Your eyes belongs to the bell. Everything goes for some while back.
Like I say, the farmer been in his family all these generations. As you can see, we're still carrying it on, still being generation farmers. My sister Joyce and my cousin Stephanie, which is both were born in these two houses, they established the garden this year, the raised bed garden, to continue the farming in a different tradition, different way.
I'm Joyce Bell Winkler, and I'm the third child of Leonard and Annie Mae Bell, who raised me right next door at the home that I'm now living in, having come back to live in 2013. Growing up on this farm, my recalling being here was not very pleasant because it was a lot of hard work and we worked in the fields. I did not like it. So at 12 years old, I decided maybe I should do something that will keep me away from the farm as much as I could. So when we were first of the Black families to integrate the schools here in this county, I joined the band and the basketball team, the only Black kid at the time in both the band and the basketball. But what it did is kept me from being on the farm every day because I had practices. So somehow at 12, I kind of got an idea about how can I get off this farm without, getting off this farm. But I continued playing basketball in the band and joined all kinds of clubs growing up. But then I learned that you would be paid to drive a school bus at age 16 and 17. So I had a school bus route, and that kept me off the farm too. But fast forward, in 2007, I had a health challenge, which made me slow down and refocus to the point where a lot of my memories were positive about being on this farm, being around the pond, the water. And I started having visions. I started thinking of what if and who will do this, because at the time, there was none of the children or grandchildren living on the farm other than my brother. So I felt an obligation to do something, and that obligation led to an actual name of our farm, or at least the legacy farm, which was AbellA. Arthur, granddaddy's name, Albina, my grandmother's name, Bell being the family name, and holding that name up of these two individuals who purchased this property in 1927. That just kind of propelled me to think about farming differently, more of tourism, because I kept looking for a place to rest, have opportunities to bring others on with a building physically on the farm. And I have two daughters. My older daughter is Rosalind, and she's in Greensboro. And she works with the community theater of Greensboro. She is executive director. Both she and her sister Jennifer have been down here from the time that they were little girls, because every summer, part of their summer vacation was coming down here on the farm. At the time we lived in Tennessee, but they spent 2 weeks down here with my parents. And what I remember my mother would say, they would go in the garden barefoot, running in the dirt, and then they would see things like the tomatoes and other things, and they would just be grabbing stuff out of the garden. I remember them trying to eat corn without, even the corn being cooked, because they thought they could just eat it like that when mother first would shuck it. But they got that taste of farm and garden life. Now, mind you, when they got older, they said, there are no malls here, there's nothing to do, it's kind of boring. But they enjoyed the open space, because that was new for them as well. Jennifer is a social worker in Columbia, and her daughter was here yesterday, London. Roz's daughter, Tiana, was here yesterday, so they've been part of the filming. But I'm hoping at some point, even though they love coming down here, they truly would want to be a part of the business of what we're doing with agritourism and business. Actually, my daughter Roz wants to do the Christmas walk, like they do Dorothy's walk along the way. She's very, talking about creative, this kid comes up with all kinds of ideas. And she wants to do something where you could go around the pond and there would be a character there and sing some kind of Christmas song or some kind of Christmas story. So we don't know about that, because Christmas is like less than 2 months away, and yeah. I know what we've just been through, so we may have to take that concept for 2025. Yeah. So from 2007 to the present, I have been molding and changing and modifying the concept of what AbellA means, but forward moving, that I hope it would be, is enhancing our place here, where it is truly agritourism, agribusiness. And that's kind of where we've been doing and working in that regard. With my cousin and her daughter coming back to be a part of that, it just spurred me on to be even more excited about what we want to do and partner to make it happen. So that's sort of my story.
I love that.
So I am the third child of James and Mabel Bell, and there are 4 of us. I have 2 older sisters and a brother, and my brother is a lot younger than us. So as Dad told his story about farming, he had 3 girls to help him with the farm, and my brother came much later on. And so part of what I remembered yesterday, looking at those hay bales, my cousin reminded me those hay bales were like 50 pounds. And I thought, Dad had us out there as young girls lifting 50-pound bales and throwing them on a truck. How did we do that? I barely weighed 50 pounds during that time. And he also had...
When you started doing this?
We had to be like 12, 13, and so, I was kind of petite always, and so he had this truck that was a 3 on a tree. And so, after a while, I couldn't lift any more hay bales, but he said, well, you drive. So I would try to touch the pedals with my toes, shift gears. So by the time my sisters and he had loaded hay bales on the truck, I jerked and knocked it all off.
I remember something like happening too. Yeah, Dad told about tearing up the truck.
Yeah, well, we probably killed a lot of clutches in our day trying to help out on the farm. and like Joyce, when I'm here now is a different experience than it was as a kid. I was telling somebody yesterday, we had to entertain ourselves out on this property with just cousins and whatnot, and I'm glad they were here. But I would ride my bicycle way up that dirt road, and during that time, it was this expanse of land, not as nearly as many people around. And I thought to myself as an adult, I am glad it was not like it is now then, because I would have been disappeared a long time ago. But I would entertain myself, and at some point it's like, our parents must hate us to put us out here by ourselves. That's like, so anyway, coming back even as a younger adult, and certainly now, I see the beauty of it and can appreciate it so much more. Serene. The words I use now is serene. And so it's just peaceful and serene. And when you come here in the morning and hear our rental cows mooing and the chickens going, and then the geese landing on the pond, the fog is lifting. It's like people pay to go places to do that. So I'm feeling very blessed about it now. So, I was doing my urban thing, and my daughter was doing her urban thing. And then Joyce told us about the South Carolina Black Farmers Coalition, and they had gone to a conference and how excited she was. So I said, okay. So I went, and I was just thrilled by the camaraderie and the collaboration and just beautiful ideas coming from this collection of black farmers. And not only that, the black women, they were rocking and rolling. They were doing things. It gives me chill bumps to think about it now, because they have not bought into that stereotype of what you can and can't do, what you can't do, or that's not for us. They have owned it. And so I got excited about it. My daughter is an attorney by training, and she works in corporate America. And she says, Mom, I don't know if this corporate America is going to be for me for long. I need to do something else. So I said, well, come down with us to the South Carolina Black Farmers Coalition. And she came down and she saw these entrepreneurs doing their things, and she was bitten by the bug.
Yes, on fire.
So from that, my daughter Lauren and her husband Kaz, decided to partner with me to start this enterprise called Bell's Grace Farm, trying to give homage to the land, and then also within that name, keep open the space for expansion and possibilities. One of the mantras in the family from Sadie and Dad and everybody else is, keep the land, keep the land, keep the land. That is what you hear. And so after that conference, my daughter and I said, we'll do an experimental garden back there behind my parents' house. And so with the help of, Joyce and her brother and family, Julius, we planted a garden. And I was reminded of the challenges of farming, let me tell you. My daughter was introduced to the challenges of farming.
We remembered it.
But we were undaunted. We kept going. And so this year, my cousin and his dad, Julius, and his dad, Leonard, they had brought out heavy equipment, and we expanded our growing area over about twice as much as it was, more so.
Oh, yeah.
They would bring the heavy equipment in, and they would just cut a tree, move it, cut a tree. The heavy equipment was like a dance back then. It was just so enthralling. It was just it was artistry.
Yeah.
And so we ended up with a very large garden this year.
Big garden.
And again, challenge of farming is beautiful. It has so many benefits. It's not only just for the food, but just the experience of reconnecting with the land. But there are challenges, we had a hot summer, there was drought and bugs. So, there were a lot of challenges, but we did okay. Our cousins navigated us through a lot of things, and we were able to impact the community somewhat with selling some of our produce, either through donations or direct sales. And so I think it satisfied a lot of my daughter's entrepreneurial spirit. We're now thinking in a little bit bigger ways that trying to partner with different organizations, some of which were here yesterday for the festival, and trying to turn that property into a space for education and reconnection and community building, as well as production, because we still want to grow food. But we're moving, like Joyce was saying, moving more towards agritourism. So the family home, our dad's family home is on the hill. It's the White House. So I'm in the process of restoring it now to turn it into a place where people can stay and have a farm experience, or have events. And so if they want to have a wedding and have places to stay and do that. So we're moving towards that, but we're going to keep the agricultural piece. It may look different than it did this year. But we're trying to incorporate this as something not only for now and for what it brings us now, but we want to leave something for the next generations. And so yesterday at the festival, when I saw all those little kids out there, and they didn't want to do some of the activities, they wanted to play
and run.
Space.
Yes, run around.
Yes, and
wonderful. Yes.
And so we want them to see, well, yes, it's hard work, but it's also beautiful and it's impactful. So we're not exactly sure what we're going to look like next year, but we will be here next year.
We'll have a festival next year. We've been told we got to have a festival.
We have to have a festival.
We got to have a festival.
Oh.
But we're not going to start planning. We're not going to plan 3 months in advance. We're going to give ourselves at least 9 to 10 months to plan. And we're going to have a larger committee this time too.
So anyway, it's been. It was nice. Thank you. Thank you. So it's been nice to see. The land has always been beautiful, but it's been quiet. So we're just trying to bring it alive.
Bring it alive.
So when we have our younger generations out here, I want them to see possibilities. Possibilities of what they can do. Think outside of the box. You don't have to go work for somebody. Create something. We have creative people in our family. So I'm hoping that after yesterday, some will ask themselves, why not? And that's what I have to say. Yes. Thank you.
Welcome to the Bell Family Farm, where every row has a story and every harvest carries a memory.
So,
This is the muscadine. That's how you say it, right?
we say muscadine, some people say scuppernong or bullets. It produces, my dad's been making wine from that vine forever.
Oh, really?
He'll let you taste a little sample. So he's been pulling fruit from that for a while. So last fall, I said, well, let's see if we can make this thing really pop. So I cut it back, and boy, it was loaded. So much so that Joyce's husband, Preston, Joyce, and I made 25 jars of jelly. And then my dad took the other part of it and made wine with the rest of it.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a very old vine, but it still produces.
Climbing
Yeah.
the fence like it's been there forever is the muscadine grapevine, thick, wild, and full of southern sweetness. This isn't just a farm. It's a living archive of Black land, Black labor, and Black love.
Part of the concept for this farm was to do specialty stuff, very different kind of produce. And then in the larger field, some of that, and then more staple produce to sell in the local markets. So we're had markets from Lexington and then direct sales in Charlotte for the more different things. Let me show you. So one of the things that we really grew well this year were the patty pan squash. Wow. And they really were prolific. They're just so cute, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
And so we were able to have the local chef at one of the restaurants in Ridge Spring, Juniper, put it on the menu. And so we got our first, tag at a restaurant with the patty pan. Yeah, he buys from a lot of the local farms for his restaurant. Yeah, we're on the downside. That's our asparagus. This is our first year, so we gotta let it go through its cycle.
Does that take more than one season to grow?
We're hoping to have some sprouts next year after all this dies down. because it's done pretty well for this part, and we're just gonna see what it brings next year. And seeding out. Her brother, Leonard, is a farmer. He knows a whole lot about plants. He'll say, you need to put this on it, or you need to do this to it. And so we go do it.
Okay. So he's the chemist behind.
Yeah. And my dad.
Okay.
Oh, I'll come back to out here after being gone a week. I'm like, well, who did that? And so they'll kind of take care of things. And then within pharmacists, there are a lot of people in there with a lot of knowledge, and they are very generous.
That's the Black Women's Farmers Group called Pharmacists.
Pharmacists.
F-A-R-M-A-S-I is pharmacists.
Pharmacist.
Pharmacists.
Yes,
And-
I like
Run by
that.
Anita Clemens out of Columbia.
Okay.
Good, beautiful, hardworking, phenomenal woman who has now put together this network. And
Yeah.
her goal is 10,000 Black women collectively growing,
Something.
learning together.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love
So
it.
you
Yeah.
I want to be a part of pharmacist.
We'll
Yeah.
send you the Zoom link. Send you the Zoom link.
Put
Come on.
me in there. I'm trying to come.
Yeah. Zoom
For
link
real.
once a month. Zoom.
So we're gonna cut you some Chinese lettuce. Let me cut off a little bit off the edge.
While walking the Bell family farm, the bright green Chinese lettuce sprouts from the garden bed. It is beautiful.
And we would like for you to send us a picture of whatever you make with this. Yeah, so Julius ran irrigation up there, so there's like seven stations over there, and then that's one unit. This one, so and it's all automated. So that has taken a lot of worry out of.
Making sure
Yeah.
the ground is safe.
Yeah. And so we're just gonna keep refining that till we find the right water schedule for the right produce. So we're still experimental in some kind. So now some of these carrots, yesterday they seem to have pulled all the mature ones. So there's white carrots in here, orange. Well, I'll just pull up something and hopefully we'll get them mature.
As she pulls these bright tri-colored carrots from the ground, I'm so excited that I will be able to go home and make a roasted vegetable soup. This is it, and it was delicious.
I'm looking at the stalks right now. Yesterday. And so there's another variety we have down there. So I'm not gonna pull too many more because they need to percolate a little better.
Oh, wow.
There we go.
look.
There we
Okay,
go.
pull it up.
Yep. There we go.
Oh yeah.
There we go. There we go.
Wow.
That's a real deal there.
All right, so we're putting together your salad for you.
How about that? Your next meal right here.
And so you want some radish?
Being completely honest, this is one of the bigger radishes I've ever seen in my life. I've always seen the little small ones you get at the grocery store. I guess
Oh,
it
wow,
pays
look
to
at
grow
that
your own
one.
food.
Oh, that's pretty there.
Wow.
You got to take at least a patty pan squash with her.
Yep, I've never seen a patty pan squash up close and personal, and they were so cute. I didn't even want to cut them up to put them in my roasted vegetable soup, but they were delicious.
So one of the things that we're learning is never throw away anything on the plant. So if you talk to some of the people in pharmacists, they'll tell you what to do with this part of it and not just eat that part of it. Just like the strawberries. I remember someone saying, oh, you grow strawberries? Good. Do the strawberries and then make tea from the leaves. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right.
She got a patty one that's about ready.
I don't think they're ready yet. Oh, maybe that one.
You can get that one. A tiny patty. I must have picked 20, 30 of these in the last few weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the patty, the way I prepared it, because I never cooked the patty pan squash before.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me.
I just washed it and then I sliced the top off a little bit,
Mhm.
and then I sliced it and put olive oil on it.
So there's There's something called companion planting, sister planting. So you'll see the flowers and herbs intermingled in here to draw the insects away.
Hetty pan squash gleams in the late light. Okra pods being stretched from their tall stems picked by Miss Joyce. The stubborn heat in the rows of collards, carrots, radishes, and lettuce hold on to the last breath of fall as it sweeps across the field. But the heat hits different now. It's thicker, heavier. Climate change is no longer a warning, it's a presence, reshaping how we grow, how we plan, and how we survive.
So now we have knowledge and access to good stuff, and so it's upward and onward. Yeah. To put it together. So my daughter is gonna come back and harvest the sunflower seeds.
As we walk through the Bell Farm rows, the sunflowers have bowed out for the season. Their golden faces long turned inward, their tall stems dried and hushed, but their memory lingers in the soil like a prayer. Their seeds have been gathered, tucked away with care, ready to be replanted, because nothing is wasted here, not even the ending. As we celebrate the history of our past, we remember the traditions that have shaped us, recipes carried from kitchen to kitchen, passed down through memory, love, and time. Dishes like Mom Bell's Chow Chow, first made by Mrs. Joyce's grandmother.
So we would come up here and celebrate Thanksgiving because my grandmother's birthday was around Thanksgiving, and we would always come up here to eat. So I have a picture that shows this little kitchen table in here with about 10 or 12 little kids standing around in this kitchen. Oh, wow. And if you come this way, Thanksgiving came. This was the dining room where about 18 to 20 people would be gathered around to eat Thanksgiving dinner with my grandmother and grandfather. Of course, we had to spread out a little bit in the living room and into the hallway, but it was gathered around at this table for Thanksgiving. And that's one of my most precious memories of this home as a child, along with the kitchen, because my grandmother was an amazing cook. And she was a funny lady. Lots of personality. Yes. And I'll say this, sometimes she used a few little words and they would come out and she says, "Now don't you repeat that." They were funny words because it was always in a context of fun. It was never ugly or whatever, but she would just, her family were witty people, her sisters and brothers, and they were comedic. They had a lot of humor and all, and they were always laughing and carrying on like that. But she would say some of the funniest things, and I just thought it was just amazing. But she loved who she was. She had lots of personality. She exuded that personality anytime you were around her. She was just that type of woman. So this is where grandmother would make the chow chow. Okay. Well, we have chow chow shirts too, but we also have chow chow aprons. So we just yeah, just go ahead and take the mask off. So the family wears our chow chow t-shirts out and about. Grandmother made chow chow here. So this is where she would make her chow chow. This is where she would, process her vegetables from her garden. Her garden was right out here. That was her garden spot. So these are the veggies. You got tomatoes, red and green. Of course, you have cabbage. You have onion. Have jalapeno peppers. Down at the other house.
Yeah. So I don't remember what age I started helping with Cha Cha. I felt it was probably about 12, 13, something like that. But yeah, I would always help. We would hand cut all of this stuff with knives. The cabbage, the onions, the tomatoes, the onion and the peppers. This guy came later on the scene. So the fun part of it, because I live about 4 miles down the road, I would help her do everything. But when it got to once it was time to start cooking it, so I had to flee. I had left the scene. I would go home because that smell of that vinegar would knock me out. Yeah, so until she got older, then I would hang out. I would either walk down Aunt Mabel's and for James or sit out on the porch and then I'll come back in and help her stir it. But yeah, this was the best creation though, because when we started it, This had the first chopper. This is not the first one. This is the second one we used. The first one had a VHS tape. So Grandma, we sat and we watched the VHS tape because I said, Grandma, we're not hand cutting this stuff no more. We're gonna put this in a chopper, and this is gonna make it go a lot faster, you know. Yeah. Because the canning part, you know, that was the longer part, putting it in and then tying it and then letting it can, and then we were done. But it was all fun, you know. I say I'm the one grandchild that definitely knows how to make this in the back of my head. Right. And then there's the other grand that's a chef. Because she eats it a lot and then she knows, so she probably could also make it. But yeah, it was good times. Tomatoes, then the onion, the pepper last, just because it was a strong, you know, it was a strong set. But I know when you finish the jalapeno, that means we're almost ready to start mixing it all with all the other wonderful spices that we put in the cha-cha. Yep. Okay. Yep.
So this process that Nikki was talking about, when we moved down here with Mother in 2013, was when I moved here, the goal was to get the building for the pond so we could have events. That's what I wanted to work on. Then I realized people kept coming by for chow-chow. Mother could not sell it, quote. So we knew we had to think about what to do next. So I called Clemson Extension, and I then got all the regulations, rules, everything that needed to go to market it. So we changed our focus from doing our physical building to get now the chow chow on the market, because now Mother's in her 80s. We need to get this down pat because there was a process that we had to take through. So I have Mother videotaping and talking how to do this because no measurements were done. You just get 1 of these, 4 of these, 3 of this, and whatever.
Yep.
So while I was still working in Columbia, Preston was home with Mother, and that's when the 2 of you and Mother would be in the kitchen making chow chow down at that house. That's kind of how it started. I got a little red book, and I meant to show it to you, but we can do that later. And I wrote down every time we made a batch, how many ingredients, how the measurements. I said, Mother, you just tell me and I'll measure, chop it. And that's how we did it. Nikki chopped it up. We just measured at that point. So now fast forward to now we have to make 4 batches. So what we did prior to Mother's passing, we tried after I retired to really get in that kitchen and learn this process step by step by step by step. I think in my book there's at least 14 tries. Wow. And in November of 2020, after we had made all these batches and I saw what was happening with Mother, Preston and I left from down there, brought all the products up here for the first time without Mother in the kitchen with us, because we knew we needed to make this batch. And the aroma of making it while now she's in a very feeble state, we didn't think would be good in that home. So I said to Preston, it started here. Let's make it here. So we came up here November something. I don't have the date in my head, but I've got it on the paper. And that's what we did. So we had to take a course about food safety. Right. And I was doing that. We had to follow every step. I mean, everything had to be sterilized, every counter, everything had to be clean, sterilized, and we made sure we washed our hands all the time, that we did that. And of course, all of our equipment as well. So we, of course, have all this equipment that we use in that process. So this process of what we would do up here is about an 8-hour day. Literally, we would take about a 15-minute to 30-minute break. Literally from start to finish. It's about 8 hours. Standing. In order for Clemson to accept this, we had to come up with a standard of this much cabbage, this much ingredients will yield this much. Okay. So that was the issue, because sometimes we said, okay, if we did this, we should have 18 jars. We come up 16 jars. Okay, that's close. Sometimes we did it, we're supposed to get 20 jars. We got 26 jars. We're like, oh, we've done something different here. So sometimes we've had to make those adjustments. And that's what we had to do, all those preliminary steps in order to come up with what, okay, we think we got it. So that November date when we came up here to do it, was the first time we've done it without Mother tasting it or helping us in any way, because she literally was doing that even when she was not able to stand. She would sit in a chair in the kitchen with us down there and just watching us and tasting it and make sure. So what we've realized was, okay, that consistency is important. So we have to make sure we are doing that. But what we wanted to do is to get this one batch done to be able to say, we got this. So after we made that one batch, we went down, and the lady who was sitting with Mother that day, we brought a little sample for her to taste it. And of course, we knew, you know, she wasn't going to be able to eat a lot at that point, but she told us, you got it. Can I do a hallelujah dance?
Yes. You said after all those tries, I got it.
We got it. We got it. To get those other 3 batches done and get them to Clemson. And we did a batch of hot and mild each time. The difference is how much heat you put in it.
With this, okay.
This makes it hotter.
Gotcha.
So every batch that we did, we used 1/3 of our jalapenos for mild and 2/3 for hot. That was our ratio of the difference between a hot and a mild jar. And that's what we did. We would let it sit out on racks for 24 hours before we moved. Once we took them out, and we placed racks out and just let them sit for 24 hours. And then we'd come back, and then we would put the labels on it. And when we first started, we made our own little labels up. Very simple,
Yes.
but that was our little label that we used for many years. And I have that I can send it to you very clear like it is. And then once we, no, let me back up before we get to this. All right, so, and this gonna be real quick. So we did our Mother passed about 3 weeks after this. And then I had shoulder surgery. So our time period was, okay, now we've done one batch in November. We got to get 3 more batches in. And they didn't tell us you had to wait a certain period of time. They just said, get 4 batches and send it to us. So we made the 3 other batches, each different time periods, like a month apart or something like that. We made the rest of those batches down there. We didn't come back up here, and we just made that first batch here. But we made the other batches down there. We packed up everything, shipped them to Clemson Extension. They said it's going to probably take a month or so to get the nutritional analysis and give us feedback on whatever. A week later, we get a letter, email, that said, here's your nutrition label. You're now ready to produce your chow chow. So when that came, we were like, huh, what are we going to do next? We don't have a certified kitchen. We don't have this. How are we going to make these batches? So we called our friends at Clemson Extension. We'd been talking with them for 6 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a 6-year project. We've been working with Clemson Extension to do this. That's why I tell you, right, things take time.
Yes,
if you want to do it, you got to do it right.
Yes.
And that's when she recommended someone to us in Asheville, North Carolina. We met with that company, and we worked with them for about 1.5 years or so, 2 years maybe, and closed the business. Then we got real nervous because now we're selling chow chow. It's on the market. People are buying it.
Yeah.
We got a website.
Yes.
So once again, I'm like, we got to find someone. So I start calling around, checking around. Found this company in Spartanburg, and I told him what we're doing. And he said, well, I make a type of chow chow, but it's Amish, and it doesn't have the tomatoes in it. It has cabbage and onions, but it's a different version of a chow chow because there are different brands out there. And so we met with them, took it up there, and the first time we met, he did this. He opened up the jar, and this is from our company, the previous company. He opened up the jar, took a spoon out. This is real good. And then he passed it to his 2 other workers there, and they said, this is real good. And it's different from what, like I said, they're marketing himself. He said, this is like the way my mama used to make it. And they'd never done co-packing with anyone else, but they took us on. And we've been with them for 1 year. They have been a joy to work with. They have been very supportive, and we're grateful. We're very grateful. So we've gone through, this evolution. Our goal is to get bigger, market more, and certainly get more people, again, to share their desire to enjoy it like we are enjoying it. It's in several stores here in Rich Spring. We have Cone's Meat Market. And actually the meat market and the nut house probably buy more chow chow because they have other things that they sell in there. But they sell quite a bit of our chow chow, cases at a time. Those are our two big, small businesses in Little Rich Spring that carry our chow chow. And then we have other friends and others that buy cases at a time. Nikki's family, they buy cases for us as well. Nikki's family meaning the other side of the family, the Jones side of the family. So we have a number of the folk who purchase it for us. They can go to our website. They go to our website and we ship it out.
Okay.
He packs it up, we drop it off to UPS, and it's shipped within 2 to 3 days. Farmers market. My brother, who goes to the farmers market on Saturdays in Rich Spring.
Yeah.
And we've gone to festivals and we've sold chow chow at festivals and all. So we're doing that at different places. Now we bought a brand from a big company. They shipped it to us. And I must admit, this ain't no chow chow.
Yeah.
This ain't like that. So the thing is, what we have found though, the people who are enjoying it now are not eating it the way we ate it. When we grew up, we ate it on cabbages, collards, mustard, turnips, greens. When I left home and went other places, I decided to try chow chow on my hot dogs, my hamburgers, and I'm like, this is good. Yeah. Now I put it in my pasta sauce. That's what your son said the other night. Did he tell you? Mm-mm. He said, Aunt Joyce, you added chow chow to the spaghetti sauce? I said, oh yeah. He said, oh, that was good. I said, that was the secret ingredient. That's our little secret ingredient. And you add it at the end. You don't cook it down. You want to add it so it just, at the end, give it a little pop. Yeah. Give it a little pop. It's being used on omelets. I put some, I had some crab meat imitation as it was, but I'm sorry, that's all I had that day. I had no sweet salad cubes. Guess what I put in there? What you say about it? My friend Brenda, who's here from New Jersey, she said, let me open up a jar, get my Planters lightly salted peanuts, get a spoon. That's my snack.
I was eating it out the jar when you gave it to me.
Yeah. And that's what people do. That's what people have done. That's what people have done.
And Grandma had a customer years ago. I remember when I was seeing it when I was at the roadside stand. Sweet tea. By the spoon, and he drank it, washed it down with sweet tea. Just like that. Yeah.
We hope we can continue to do it. Yes. We hope the market will grow with what we want to do. We never wanted to try to get that people, why don't you get in Walmart? I said, remember, you have to have a certain capacity. Yep. And right now, I can't stress my small little co-packer who's already got a business to give me 5,000 jars a week. Just be realistic. You can't do that. So we're trying to be strategic in how we market. We want to market more, but we have to be very careful not to try to grow so big so quickly and you can't meet the demand, because there's nothing worse than that. And he's a very good mindset about using local farmers that he knows that he has a connection with, which I think is the importance, because that's what makes this what it is. That's the kind of food we want. We want fresh and we want it local. We don't need it coming from way over somewhere, like how many hands have touched it, kind of thing. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is our story with Chow Chow, and we're just grateful and thankful. One last story, we talked about reserves and jars and jams and things like that, and you get to take some with you. So the pear tree, which is right up there.
This one right here? I'm looking at you.
By the mailbox.
By the mailbox.
Yeah. It's some pears on that tree.
Yes, so it's no pears now. And no, all the pears are gone.
Yeah.
But that tree, okay, so there is the pear tree here. And the pear tree, according to Uncle James, is as old as he is, because it's been around all of his life.
Wow.
That pear tree right there is responsible for these pear jams that we made just this year from a tree that we don't tend to it. It just does its own thing. And this year was the most productive, largest pears we ever had the whole time I've been down here for the last 11 years. Wow. So we will give you some pear preserves.
So
What?
and some pear jam.
Pear preserves
And pear jam.
Tell us what the difference between the two is.
Well, it's how you cut them and how you stir them and what you add to them. So a preserve is usually a little chunkier, got a little bit more meatier pieces in it, little pieces in it. Whereas a jam is smoother and not, it's not a jelly, but it's a little thicker than a jelly. And that's the difference between these two. We just use two different recipes, and some people prefer one over the other. But jams and jellies was, as Stevie was telling you when we were down, Stephanie was telling you down there with the vines, at the muscadine vines on her father's property. That's all we had. Mother made jams and jellies all the time, preserves. We also canned, a lot of canning. We canned vegetables, all kinds of things. So these are peaches that we canned this year.
And how long can those peaches stay in a can?
And this probably less than a year.
Okay.
These, whenever you open them, I've had them, refrigerate after open. Everything was refrigerated, even the chow after you open, you refrigerate it. But it just, shelf life, we have not really done that yet to see what this is. Most time it's eaten up before it goes bad. Exactly. Yeah. Usually
but
stuff like this.
Open this inside. And then put it in the fridge. How long can I keep it in there? Months before it goes bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But that little jar ain't gonna last you no months. Not with how many people in your house? Please.
Right.
No way. But this is for you to take with you as well.
Okay.
But I just wanted to show the picture. This is how the farm looked like. This is the cows. This is right here. Right. This is right here. This is where you stayed. This is the house you stayed in. Right here. Yeah. That's it.
And
all this field.
All the land is like more. You can see straight back here.
That land was all open. You didn't have any trees like they are right here. It was open land because it was farmland. All that was farmed. And so I wanted to share that with you and share with you the other picture, which is, put that one down, Preston. And this is the one at next at my home where I grew up. This is what it looked like right here, down here where Jennifer did the sweet potato pie at that house. My house that I grew up in. So this is what it looks like when I grew up. So we had the pasture here with the cows. Back here you had cows back here. You had fields. There's the dirt road back there that's now paved. There's the barn back here. There's more pasture over there. That's where my garden is right there in that little spot right now. So that's how things look back when I was growing up.
The Bell family farm isn't just about land, it's about legacy. From the garden to the kitchen, every corner holds a story, and every seed tells us where we've been. Thank you for walking with us through part 2 of this journey. Join us next time for part 3 as we continue uncovering the rich history, deep roots, and powerful traditions of the Bell family farm.